3b over here. That's one of the, I would expect, you have two of these, I'd expect to see one of these for sure. Some of us had a little bit of issue on our homework with it. F of x is the same thing as y. So now these x's are both y's. That y is now an x. Multiply both sides by y plus 4. So really, you're cross multiplying 1 times this is just that. So you're going to get x times y plus 4x. Now, I want this negative 2 to be positive on that side, and I'm moving this over. I want to deal with less negatives. All right, now I got the y's together. I'm going to factor out the y. They both have y in common. I'm left with 3 minus x. I'm going to divide both sides by 3 minus x. F inverse of x gives you that answer. It's really not that hard of a question, guys. All right, it's all about algebra 2. All about algebra 2. Here, it already says y, so I'm going to write it as x equals natural log of y minus 2. Then I'm going to attach e as the base. That gets rid of that. Now I have e to the x is y minus 2. Add 2 to both sides. There's your answer. On d here, I'm going to write it as y equals, switch x and y. If I want to cancel out e, I'm going to attach natural log to both sides. 3y minus 5 comes on down. Add 5 to both sides. Divide by 3, f inverse of x, natural log of x plus 5 over 3. On e here, folks, again, this is y equals, switch x and y, subtract 1 from both sides. Then you have root x, you're going to square both sides. X minus 1 parentheses squared is 2 minus 3y. Subtract 2 from both sides, and then divide by negative 3. And I don't want a negative in the denominator, so when I divide by negative, that 2 is going to be now positive. This quantity was positive, now it's negative, so just really the top flips, kind of. Everything has the opposite sign. All right, take a look at 3f. It's very similar to 3b. All right, so y equals 5 minus x over x plus 3. Switch x and y. Multiply x by y plus 3. I'm going to move the y over here. It was negative. I'm going to move the 3x over there. It is now negative. These both have a y. Take the y out. You're left with x plus 1. Divide both sides by x plus 1. F inverse of x gives you that fraction. All right. Take a look here. Next page, find the exact value. This is pretty easy. Again, 3 to what power gives you 243? That's the fifth. 2 to what power gives you 1 over 128? If 2 to the 7th is 128, then this is a negative 7. Literally just 5. Natural log of e to the x is just x, so that exponent's your answer. This is natural log of e to the negative third, gives you the answer of negative 3. We talked about that a bunch. When you have the same base, first subtraction means division. 8 over 20 is 0.4, so you have log base 2 of 0.4 plus log base 2 of 25. Just going to do now 0.4 times 25, log base 2 of 10. Log base 2 of 10, which we'll just leave it as that. All right. Here, that negative 3 needs to go up as an exponent. Remember, we talked about one of these in class. That cancels. You have 6 to the negative third, which is 1 over 6 to the third, 1 over 216. Here, those cancel. You already have it as an exponent, so it comes down to 6 squared, which is 36. X to what power gives you the square, or 5 to what power gives you square root of 5? We're taking the square root there, so it's the 1/2 power. All right, a number on the outside means it was originally an exponent, so this is 4 squared, which is 16. Taking the same law, this is log base c, that's what natural log is. So addition means multiplication. 8 times 16 is 128. Addition in the natural log world here means multiplication. These are conjugates. You just do the first and the last, no middle term, x squared minus y squared. That number on the outside was originally an exponent, so x cubed. Division, or subtraction in the log world means division. So x squared minus y squared all over x cubed is your answer there. Guys, 1/4 was originally an exponent, so that's going to cancel. Power to power, just multiply. So it's just natural log of x plus 1. Number on the outside means it was an exponent, so this is squared. In the log world, addition means multiplication, so really you're just going to multiply those two. You don't have to distribute, that's fine. All right, so on D, 2/3. You're raising x and y to both the 2/3. You're raising x and y both to the 1/2. And you're raising x to the 3/4 here and y to the 1/3. Hashtag straight multiplication. All those pluses mean straight multiplication. All right, so when you multiply with the same base, you just add the exponents. For the x's, you're adding 2/3, 1/2, and 3/4. For the y's, you're adding 2/3, 1/2, and 1/3, and you get that. All right, we should know how to handle fractions. No big deal for us right now. I got rid of 2 of these. I don't want you to. I wrote D and E not well, so we're really just doing A through C and then F. Attach natural log to both sides. Subtract 3. Divide by -2. You can write it like that or that. Here, attach E as the base. 2x minus 4 comes on down. Add 4 to both sides. Then divide by 2. That's e to the 3rd plus 4. All of that divided by 2. Here, what multiplies to 7 and adds to... that was written not correctly. It was supposed to be plus 10 here and minus 7. I promise that's what I meant. So change that on your paper, all right? If not, that was not going to factor. Anyway, change that to plus 10. That's the minus 7. -2 times -5 is positive 10 and adds to -7, all right? E to the x minus 5 is 0. E to the x is 5. Attach natural log to both sides. Natural log 5. E to the x minus 2 is 0. So you get e to the x is 2. Attach natural log to both sides. I forgot that there. You get natural log 5, natural log 2. All right, attach natural log to both sides here. You're going to get that exponent comes on down. X minus 2, natural log 3 equals natural log 4. Divide both sides by natural log 3, then add 2. All right, and finally, your last question here, its own page. Secant inverse, that's really cos inverse of 1/2. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine. Cosine inverse gives you values for first quadrant. That's positive, it's first quadrant. So draw an angle in the first quadrant that has a cosine of 1/2. Pythagorean theorem gives you √3 for that. So tangent opposite over adjacent, √3 over 1. All right, tan inverse gives you first quadrant values. It's positive, so it's first quadrant. Draw an angle that has a tangent of 3 over 5. Use Pythagorean theorem. That's √34. So the cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Either of those work. Here for C, cos inverse -2/3, second quadrant for that. All right, use Pythagorean theorem, you get √5. That is a positive √5 because you're going up. Sine is opposite over adjacent. √5 over 3. D, sine inverse 5 over 6, first quadrant for that. So use Pythagorean theorem, get √11. So the cotangent is the reciprocal of tangents. So if the tangent is 5 over √11, cotangent would be √11 over 5. All right, again, this is just trig, which you've now done for at least 1.5 years. All right, sine inverse is positive, first quadrant, 1 over 3. Pythagorean theorem gives you √8 or 2√2. I want to know what is the secant. The secant is the reciprocal of cosine. So if cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, then secant is that reciprocal, 3 over √8. You can write it like that as well. And lastly, F here. Question F, not given. I wanted tan of cos inverse 4/5. All right, so my fault. So first quadrant is a cosine 4 over 5. This is a 3, 4, 5 triangle. Tangent is simply 3 over 4. And pause that, rewind it. These are your answers. Hopefully you've been working on it for a while, guys. Remember, I told you, gave this to you about 8 days in advance, I believe.